My name is Tamie M, Tamie M Joyce officially. I am an empowerment life coach specializing in codependency and narcissistic abuse recovery. And what we're going to be talking about today is effective strategies to end the scapegoating. I've recently been talking about the whole phenomena of growing up as the family scapegoat. Last week we did kind of a deep dive into what the consequences are, what it feels like, what the reality is in terms of having grown up, having been assigned the role of family scapegoat. Typically happens at a very young age. And what that looks and feels like as we grow up and, carry that imprinting into our adult lives. And we also talked about why it is that we are the ones who are chosen to be the family scapegoat. In my humble opinion, based on my personal and professional experience and all the many books and what have you that I have read over the years, I have some pretty strong opinions around why it is. Things that people often don't take into consideration in terms of the grander perspective, sacred contracts, soul mission and purpose, and all of that, I believe, plays a big part. Now, here's the thing. What we're going to talk about today are really the solutions. Like, okay, it's one thing to recognize we've got the problem. The problem's been going on in our whole lives, but what the hell do we do about it, right? So we're going to really hone in on specific solutions, effective strategies that work to put an end to this phenomena in our life, to take our power back and put an end to this phenomena in our life. So in case you're not aware, I run an 8-week transformational coaching program called the Freedom Class. All the details can be found at TamieMCoaching.com under programs. And I will put a link in the description below to book a free one-on-one strategy session with me if you're interested in learning more about the possibility of working with me in that program. So effective strategies to end the scapegoating. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea here. Scapegoating, I talked about it again. I talked about it last week in the free live training. But I will reiterate it because it's worth saying again. Scapegoating is fundamentally when you have been assigned the role, typically at a very young age, of being the family scapegoat, which means being the family target to a large degree, which means you get to be the person in a dysfunctional family that gets to be to blame and responsible for all the things that are wrong with the family, everything that goes wrong, everything that is not okay, everything that's not working. Like, for example, parents have serious unresolved issues that they're taking out on one another, and instead of taking ownership of their shit and dealing with their stuff like reasonably healthy adults, they blame the kid, right? There's lots of, folks that I've had the experience myself, and lots of folks that I have worked with who have literally, at a very young age were assigned blame and responsibility for things that were going on in the family at large that, it just makes no sense to place that burden of shame and blame and guilt on an innocent child. But it's all part and parcel of the sick family dynamics that we grow up in these dysfunctional families. And as I often say, these are not black or white issues, right? There is a spectrum here, right? So some families are sicker than others, for sure. But that really is fundamentally what it boils down to. So you get to be the person who is to blame, who is held responsible for much of, if not all, that might be going wrong inside of the family dynamic. As long as we are putting the blame on this individual, this child, this person in the family, we don't have to look at our own stuff. As such, we also get to be the dumping ground, right? So we are literally the family dumping ground, the family garbage bin. And as I said in the training previous, for those of you who might have missed it, just to sort of do a quick recap, it's as if there is this subconscious, silent agreement within the family unit that it is okay to target this one individual. It is how deeply unconscious sometimes fully mentally ill, personality disorder, sometimes just, you know, untreated survivors of various forms of trauma. Welcome to the human race on planet Earth, just is what it is, right? But it is fully how people of that nature, of that ilk, unburden themselves from what it is that is too heavy for them to carry. 95% of the game of life is subconscious, only 5% is conscious. And if you are someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, especially if you are someone who's high on the spectrum, and you know, whether you're diagnosed or undiagnosed, most of which are undiagnosed, you actually have a personality disorder, you're gonna have a whole lot more stuff in your subconscious, in your shadow, that is very heavy to carry. So it's going to be essential that you have a place to project it onto, right? And that is, you know, what ends up happening to the family scapegoat inside these dysfunctional family dynamics. Now, here's the thing. Here's what's true. You know, we're talking about dysfunctional family survival rules, and I've done it, you know, on my YouTube channel. I went in depth into, you know, the five main family survival rules, the family scapegoat being one of them, right? So we're talking about dynamics within dysfunctional families, but what's true is we aren't just scapegoated inside of our families. Like, if you identify with having grown up as the family scapegoat, that is certainly, probably without question, the most painful, the most traumatic, the most devastating, the most destructive in terms of your sense of self, any personal identity that you carry, your self-esteem, or lack thereof, right? Especially because it starts real young. The reality is, we also grow up and go out into the world, and because this is our imprinting and our programming, we tend to be scapegoated even in friendships, circles of friends. That can happen as well. Not always, but it does happen. Really, just to say that yes, this happens inside of our families, and particularly initially, but don't kid yourself, especially if you carry that imprinting. It's probably happened to you as well. Drop me a comment and let me know whether or not, yeah, I actually have had the experience of being scapegoated inside of my circle of friends, being targeted in that fashion, maybe by one insecure, pathologically envious, someone who is threatened by your light and your power, and therefore has to go the extra mile in a very sneaky, manipulative, toxic way to poison the minds and hearts of others towards you. That is scapegoating. That's what happens when we're the family scapegoat inside of our families, right? Well, it can also happen inside of our circle of friends, so-called friends, right? Know who your friends are. It's not because people show up to socialize that they're necessarily your friends and have your back or any sense of real loyalty or decency towards you, no matter what mask they might wear when they're in your presence, right? We know, those of you who are in my community, the vast majority of you are full-blown empaths, right? So, you know, I posted something on the weekend about the empathic mirror. If you didn't see that and you identify as being an empath and you identify as being the family scapegoat, go into the group and see the post that I posted on Sunday morning about the empathic mirror. So this is another piece of the puzzle, like I talked about last week. As the family scapegoat, the reason we are chosen isn't because of our weakness necessarily. Typically, the person who is assigned the role of the family scapegoat is the most powerful one, the one who carries the most light, even at a little itty-bitty young age, right? Like there's this subconscious stuff going on, right? And there's a recognition that this might be the one who would, you know, like we can't have this one shining too brightly. That doesn't work well when we're talking about a narcissistic family, a really sick family, dysfunctional family dynamic, right? You can't have someone feeling too good about themselves, right? Like that won't do. So, you know, suffice to say that typically it is the one who might carry the most power, might carry the most potential for impact for good, even at a young age, might carry the most light. And although it's not necessarily a conscious awareness, sometimes I think it is, people can be that kind of petty. I've seen it in my own life, you know, towards me and many others, right? But, you know, often it's subconscious as well, you know, they don't know what it is. All they know is that your vibe is very freaking disturbing to them. Energy vampires shrink from the light. They don't like it. So the point I'm trying to make is, yeah, this goes on in our family. It also goes on in our circle of friends, does it not? Sometimes, unfortunately, there are people in our lives who, if we're dirt honest with ourselves, there's something about the vibe that we carry in spite of our desire to show up with nothing but a heart full of love and bring good shit to the table, and can't we all just get along and have a great time? They just can't stand the light. They just can't stand the vibe. They just can't stand the possibility that someone might carry more power than they do. Not always, but often this can be a question of, you know, a man who really cannot handle the power that some women carry. A real man, a friend of mine refers to it as, you know, the divine masculine, right? Like a real man carrying the divine masculine is lit up and empowered in the presence of a woman who is in her power, shining her light. A man who is suffering from absolute runaway low self-esteem, who's going through life with, you know, a truckload of unresolved issues that they don't want to look at, who is threatened by, you know, anyone else, you know, who needs to be the smartest man in the room, you know, lest someone else might have an opinion, right, that shows them up for not being all that they're trying to convince everyone they are. Like, I'm just giving you some examples of the dynamics and the way this can play out, right? You bring a woman into the room who's in her power, that's a freaking threat, right? So there's all kinds of ways that this can actually play out, but just know that if you identify as being scapegoated in your family, and then with friends, and sometimes even at work, right? Like, we know that this also carries over into our professional lives at times. It's not because you're lacking. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you're broken. It's not because of all the bullshit lies that they have heaped on you about who you are and what you are not. It fully and totally boils down to the fact that you carry a calibration of energy. On purpose. You are here on purpose, vibing in a way that is a disturbance to a certain ilk of individual in your family and otherwise. And it is on purpose. And as painful as it can be to be the bearer of that kind of responsibility and have to walk that path, and the rejection that comes along with it, and the betrayal that we suffer over and over and over again, especially if we're still in the place of putting our hand up for more of it, right? Thank God I don't do that anymore, but, you know, did for decades, right? The betrayal, the rejection, the disappointment, like really we're just showing up like, well, again, you know, heart full of love, just want to bring good stuff to the table. Can't we all just get along and have a nice time? No, not with some people. You cannot. You cannot. And it is vital that we learn to tell ourselves the truth about what it is that we're dealing with, because it is our job to take care of ourselves. in these situations. We're not going to put a dent in what's going on with those individuals. Our job is to shine our brightest light. And those who feel the need to undermine us and our relationships with other people, poison the minds and hearts of other people whom they have influence over because who we are and what we carry is a threat to them, light and love. And I get that that's not always easy. You know, it's certainly, you know, easier when we're talking about friendship, and not easy, but easier often when we're talking about, you know, so-called friends or, you know, people in the workplace, that sort of thing. It's far more excruciatingly painful when we have to deal with these situations with regards to our family. We have to deal with all kinds of abandonment issues, all kinds of pain. There is a real grieving and mourning process involved. So it's not to, you know, minimize that, but just to say we really have to get to a place of, you know, I love me more. I love me more. So with all of that said, drop me a comment and let me know if you're resonating with any of this, if any of this is smacking true for you. And let's dive into effective strategies to stop the scapegoating, because no matter who it is who is targeting you, no matter who it is who is throwing you under the bus, no matter who it is who has decided that it is okay to smile to your face and hug and kiss you when they see you and do the little frickin' performance that they do, like the phony, fearful little children that they are, no matter who it is, there comes a point where we gotta draw a line in the sand and say, yeah, no more. No more. You want to do that? You're going to have to do that from a serious freaking distance, because frankly, I love me more. So effective strategies to put an end to the scapegoating. I've got 6 strategies I'm going to go into here with you today. So strategy number 1, and this is in particular when we're talking about our families. Sometimes, not so much in my experience, sometimes with regards to friends, depending on the relationship, but not necessarily so much. Our recent experience wasn't all that. It wasn't traumatic, just massively disappointing, right? So, strategy number 1 is to recognize that there's been emotional trauma and commit to a healing and recovery path. So this is, again, you know, when we're talking about, you know, so-called friends being real freaking assholes in our lives because of their own fear and insecurity and projecting their unresolved garbage, like, you know, that's uncomfortable. It's disappointing. It hurts. If we have to make a decision to amputate these people, there can be a grieving process depending on, you know, the nature of the relationship, how many years they've been in your life, that sort of thing. It's a whole other level though when we're talking about our family of origin, right? It's a whole other level. And the reason for that is because it started when we were so young. Hey, first 7 years of life, all of our programming, all that imprinting really, you know, becomes our subconscious identity that we carry throughout life. And then we wonder why we go out into our adult lives and we attract more of the same. Well, all of this unresolved stuff within us acts like magnets, calling more of its likeness into our lives, right? So we're repeating these patterns over and over in every area of our lives because we still have these magnets calling its vibrational match to us. It's not necessarily conscious. It's more often than not conscious, right? But that's pretty much the way it works, you know, to really bring it down to its simplicity. So we have to recognize that there has been trauma, emotional, psychological, spiritual, sometimes physical, sometimes sexual, but definitely emotional, psychological, and spiritual trauma. And it is our job, now that we are adults, to commit to a healing and recovery path. If you think you're just going to watch videos like this or videos on YouTube and read a couple of books and gain all the head knowledge and really make any advancement in terms of your healing and recovery, I'm here to tell you I tried that for decades. It had some value. Information is powerful. It's about 2, maximum 5% of the game. We don't heal in our heads. We don't heal in our heads. So information is a good first step. It's a very small percentage of real healing and recovery. We have to get out of our heads. Yes, get the information. Yes, participate in a training like this. Watch YouTube videos. Read the books. Yes, because it's validating. It helps you sort it all out. It helps you, recognize that, wow, it's not just me. There's a certain healing component, surface level healing component, right? It's like salve to, the infected wound. Feels good to be validated and understood and heard and recognized and seen by someone who's been there and gets it. But it's 2 to 5% max of the game. We have to commit to a healing and recovery path. The Freedom Class is an option for you. There are tons of options available. Find what works for you, commit to it, get serious about getting out of your head, overanalyzing, staring at the problem all the live long day, right? Get out of there and come down into your body, as uncomfortable as it may be initially, and do the real work of healing and recovery. That is number 1 on the list of what it takes to put an end to the scapegoating, because it is fully the most important. If you want to stop living your life as a scapegoat, we have to do the healing from the inside out. We have to do the deep dive work. There is no other way. I tried for years. Tony Robbins events, every workshop, every seminar I could get get to, every personal development and spiritual book I could read, every denomination of Christianity. I studied with, you name it. I was after the information, and it had value, and I didn't even begin to put a dent in the trauma that I had experienced as the family scapegoat until I put all of that down and did the deep dive work of healing and recovery. There is a big, big difference between gathering the information and doing the work. So that is number 1. Number 2, we have to learn to set limits and boundaries around what we're willing to tolerate moving forward. And it requires developing the strength to back up those limits and boundaries. If you haven't even begun your recovery work, and you're someone who identifies as being the family scapegoat and scapegoat in other areas of your life, it's hard to set limits and boundaries. It triggers all of our stuff, all of our unresolved issues, all of our fear of abandonment, all of our fear of rejection, all that garbage that's been piled on us that we've taken on that doesn't even belong to us gets all stirred up, right? So it requires developing the capacity, the skill set, the strength as we heal and recover from the inside out, and we develop the skill set of being able to set limits, to set boundaries, to say no, and to mean it, to back it up. To clearly communicate, yeah, Ma, I know you've been able to speak to me like that for 50 years. Guess what? It's a new day. When you speak to me that way, I feel hurt, rejected, angry, abandoned, whatever it is for you. I need you to stop speaking to me that way if we're going to continue in a relationship. End of story. Sometimes it's worth having that conversation. Sometimes it's not. We know we're going to be talking to a brick wall. Hey, you got a high spectrum destructive narcissist, ex-boyfriend, soon to be ex-husband, like whoever it is, right? Like, you know that you're talking to a brick wall. Now you can try it for practice and for your own purposes of moving in the direction of closure, for your own purposes of delivering crystal clear communication in a fashion that is very adult and healthy. And then you don't say another word when I feel, I need you to silence. And what that individual does with the information you have just delivered is going to be a whole lot of information for you. A whole lot of information for you. If we want the scapegoating to end in our families or in any other area of our life, we have to be willing. Limits and boundaries. Back them up. Clear communication. Develop the skill set. We get to a place, set limits, take care of ourselves. The information keeps coming. The universe is a magical place, especially if you choose to participate, to willingly, from a free will place, as a sovereign, soul-aligned human being, say, I'm ready, I'm available, please show me how, give me guidance, show me what, tell me, show me, guide me, support me, protect me. You are going to get all the information you need. It will all be shown to you, right? In the meantime, and always, our job is to take care of ourselves. So if you have a difficult time setting limits and boundaries with anyone in your life, family, friends, colleagues, your boss, your neighbors, anyone in your life, it's a skill that needs to be developed. And you'll have a much easier time developing it if you do the deep dive healing work, because as you do that, there's a lot less stuff to be triggered, and it becomes a lot easier to say, no, thank you, not interested, and be absolutely flatline and not affected. Number 3, be willing to make the tough decisions. If you want the scapegoating to end, and again, this all comes back to number 1, when we do the deep dive inner healing and recovery work, it gets a lot easier to set limits and boundaries, and then it gets a lot easier to make the tough decisions, the decisions in favor of taking care of you. You set the standard for your life. You set the standard for your life. No one else is going to do that for you. You have to do that for you. I say it all the time. Our outside is a reflection of our inside. You want to know what's going on in your subconscious mind? Have a look at your life, any area of your life. All of the evidence is there. So as you evolve in your own deep healing and recovery journey, it gets easier to make the tough decisions. And sometimes the tough decisions is, I'm done. I'm done. The price I pay for exposing myself to you, whoever the you is. Now, in my case, that was my family of origin to a large degree. And I know the excruciating pain. All of my orphan archetype stuff rose to the surface and had to be dealt with and had to be healed. And there's nothing easy about that. As the family scapegoat, you are the orphan inside of a family, right? So there's a lot of pain around that. It's not easy. It's very, very uncomfortable. But if you want anything to change, you've got to be willing to do that work that enables you to then make the tough decisions. I am going no contact here. I am done here. Sometimes they need to experience your absence in order to appreciate what it is that you bring to the table. So it's not that, we have to amputate everybody always and forever. Sometimes we do. Sometimes, even inside of our family of origin, people are that kind of destructive that it is in our best interest. Anyone who thinks that it's okay to hurt you repeatedly, I don't care who they are. And listen, I've had to do this with parents, with siblings, with aunts, uncles, and cousins I loved like siblings, right? I get it's not easy, but the truth is, anyone or any group of people who have made a decision, conscious or otherwise, that it is okay to harm you, to target you, to hurt you, to disappoint you, to betray you, to let you down, to lie to you, to lie about you, repeatedly, they gotta go. They gotta go. So that's number 3. You gotta be willing to make the tough decisions. You set the standard in your life. Number 4, be willing to go through the grieving process completely, till you get to the other side. And this is hard. This is why I have an 8-week transformational coaching program that is so effective for people. And again, it's an option. It's not your only option. There's lots of options out there, but I'm going to tell you, when you are in a container being supported by like-minded people who have walked the path or are walking the path, who have walked the path and have come out the other side healthy, whole, and healed, living abundant, productive, happy, joy-filled lives, and you are surrounded by people in that type of container, you will be able to ride the wave of the grieving process through to the other side, through to completion, so that you can come out the other end happy, healthy, whole, living your best life as your best self. If you're trying to white knuckle this shit by yourself, the withdrawal and all the other stuff that comes up is going to cause you to go running right back into what is familiar, as painful, destructive, and damaging as it is. And unfortunately, that is the cycle that a lot of people stay stuck in. So surrounding yourself, being in the right program, powerful. Surrounding yourself by the right support system, people on the path, people who get it, people who understand the solutions. Vital, absolutely vital. Number 5, do whatever it takes to support yourself. That is your job. Your job. Not your husband's, not your wife's, not your girlfriend's, not your boyfriend's, not your child, not your adult child, not your best friend, not your sponsor, not your therapist, not your coach, although they can be part of a support system. It's not their job to support you. It's your job to support you. It's your job day in and day out. I am in, without question, the happiest, most harmonious, peaceful, loving, amazing relationship. Truly, like, we don't know anyone who has what we have. Like, it's, you know, like, I worked real hard to get to this place, and I'm 5.5 years into what it was that I wanted so bad my whole life. And because I did the healing and recovery work deep, I was able to call this into my life, right? I am fully supported by the most amazing, loving, kind-hearted man who has my back. He's a human being. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes sometimes, but he's good. It's still my job. It is still my job. My happiness, my peace of mind, supporting me, doing whatever it takes to keep myself on the beam, moving forward in my journey. And what that is for me, my job, nobody else's. So you gotta be willing to do whatever it takes to support yourself. Take radical responsibility for your life and where it's going. Take radical responsibility. Nobody's gonna do it for you. And last but not least, if you want the scapegoating to end in your life, you have to take the time to get really, really clear about what it is that you want. You have to take the time to get really, really clear about what you want your life to look like, feel like, smell like, taste like, for real. You have to get really, really clear about the kind of relationships that you want in every area of your life. You have to make the decision to set the standard for yourself. What do I want? And, you know, if you're anything like I was quite a number of years ago, what I wanted and what deep down inside I felt I was worthy of and deserved because I had been so messed with, I had been so abused, so gaslit, so scapegoated, so projected upon, so messed with, right? My identity was a mess. It wasn't a match to what I really wanted, right? So initially when you muster up the courage to get into your journal every day and get clear about what you want, you're going to recognize probably that there's like a disconnect. There's a gap between, if you're dirt honest with yourself, like where you are deep down inside and your sense of worthiness and whether or not you're a match to what you want and what it is that you want. There's going to be a disconnect, right? Well, the good news is in doing that work, in getting really clear, you can close that gap. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Like, it doesn't always happen overnight. It took me years. Truly, it really did. One step at a time, one day at a time, one meeting at a time, one powwow with a sponsor, powwow with a coach, powwow with a therapist at a time, one workshop, one seminar, one treatment center, one program, one book, like, you know, like all the things, one energy healer, like just all the things, like, you know, just doing the work, and everything I needed just continued to show up. I got really clear about what I wanted, in particular with regards to a romantic relationship. And then I got really clear about what I wanted, in particular with regards to the kind of life I wanted to live in terms of having impact, being of service, being on mission, being on purpose, making a difference, putting a dent in the darkness that is so pervasive here on planet Earth, right? Really, really clear about these things, right? The quality of friendships I want to have in my life, what I'm willing to tolerate in all of my relationships and not. Got really, really clear what I want my spiritual life, my relationship with the God of my understanding to look like, feel like on a daily basis. What I want my health and fitness to be like, right? Get really, really clear. And although initially there may be this, what seems like this great big chasm, as you continue to work on that level of clarity, everything you need, every solution, every tool, every strategy, every light bulb moment, everything starts to come to your life. We are conscious or subconscious, conscious or unconscious, whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously, our choice. We are co-creators of our reality, and we are very powerful in terms of our capacity to create our reality, to design it the way that we want it, right? So when we get really, really clear about what it is that we want in terms of the quality of life and, you know, the peace, the harmony, the abundance, the love, the joy, the harmony. It's not to say that we get clear and all the problems go away necessarily, like we're human beings on planet Earth and the journey never ends. But let me tell you, where I was 15, 20, 25 years ago when I started, you know, deep diving into personal development to begin with, getting clear, and where I am today, hey, that chasm, let me tell you, you know, like, and there's certain areas of my life where, like, tick, I've done it, and there's other areas of my life that are still a work in progress, but the chasm gets closer, you know, closer and closer, and I do not live my life as a scapegoat. Now, there may be people on occasion who I am and what I represent and what I carry is so disturbing to them that they think it's okay to target me. That happens. That happens. Like I said, we're very, you know, recently dealing with a situation we've known for some time, you know, petty, toxic, pathological envy and insecurity. It is what it is, right? Like, people are people. But I'm not affected by it. We see it. We take on the information. I utilize the tools to take care of myself. And I share, like, my personal experience to inspire you more than anything, right? Like to inspire you, you know, like the journey never ends. We just get better. We get stronger. It gets easier. And because I, a very long time ago, got so clear about what I wanted my life to look like in every area of my life, there's no room for the scapegoating. So it's not to say that I never have the experience anymore of being targeted, but it's, you know, it doesn't take me out. It doesn't have much of an impact or effect on me. It's like, oh, see the information that lands on the floor, and, you know, when the timing is right, we make a decision around what we're going to do with that and how we're going to handle that. And away we go, because we're very clear about who we are, what we want, where we're going, and that clarity will cause all of the forces, all of the divine benevolent forces to come to you and assist you and work on your behalf to get you to the place from the inside out where there is no room for being the scapegoat in any area of your life. And when life happens as it does, you deal with it. One day, one moment, one decision, one relationship, one experience at a time. And you take the gold and you carry it with you, and on you go. On your merry way. Getting closer and closer and closer to the life you came here to live, as the person you came here to be. And I promise you, you did not come here to be anybody's scapegoat. That gets to be in your rearview mirror now. My friends, I hope you got some value out of this today. If you liked the message, if you got some, you know, ahas, if anything really resonated for you, be sure to drop a comment. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer your questions. If you'd like to learn more about working with me in my 8-week transformational coaching program, the Freedom Class, I'm going to drop a link in the comments where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one breakthrough strategy session with me. Let me know how I can help you. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. As always, I will leave you with this. Know your value. Know your value and unlock your freedom. Mwah. So much love. Bye for now.